Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Please, like one or two confirmation. We can hear
Yes.
you. All right. Thank you, sir. So, my name is Rukayat Ajibade. I work with CSET Solutions, and I have my colleague here also. So, basically, we'll be talking about technology in facilities management, basically. So, in summary, we have a product called So Instanta was built to help facilities managers or businesses or companies to easily track the usage, the location, the maintenance, the cost of maintenance, and general management of assets, buildings, apartments, office spaces, and the assets in those facilities like ACs, generators, and so on. So yes, I will be sharing my screen as I have some presentations to go through. I'm trying to share my screen. These options. A minute, please. Can everyone see my screen, please? Can you see my screen? Okay. So basically, as I said, Instanta is a web and mobile work management tool for facility and assets managers. So this presentation will just be taking us through the problems we have identified that has to do with facilities management without the technology solution. So the problems we saw in the market, problems we saw facilities managers face or businesses face when they are not using any technological solution to manage their facility and assets, basically. Sorry, I don't understand. Okay. So basically, let's face it, facilities management is challenging and potentially chaotic. It involves so many activities, so many things to do, such as banking services, mechanical system, HVAC system, visitors management, parking management, and so on. Also, it is multifaceted. Facilities manager have to take care of preventive maintenances, service requests, asset register, maintenances, depreciation of those assets, manage your vendors, your technicians, inventory management, budgeting, and so on. But strangely, a lot of businesses or facilities manager rely on the manual processes using docs, documents, spreadsheets, email, pen, and paper for their facilities management operation and workflow, basically. While some very large organizations, they make use of some ERPs like Sage, SAP, or other in-house apps. But these apps, we discover they are very expensive to customize, also not very user friendly, and they are not available remotely or on mobile. So that like you have to be in the office to be able to use some of these ERPs. So therefore, a lot of facilities managers tend to return to using paper and pen. So due to this using paper and pen, documents, spreadsheets, it leads to this pain point for the facility managers or for the business, basically. So the first pain point or problem is the fact that planning and tracking of issues and routine maintenance are done on spreadsheets, which does not support automated reminder, leading to missed maintenance schedules. So as facilities managers, there are things that maintenances or routine services that should be done periodically. And tracking all of this on paper, there is no remind. There's nothing. The paper cannot remind you to carry out a maintenance or carry out a routine job. So therefore, it leads to missing maintenance schedule. So this leads to forgotten issues and frequent and costly service failure. So in the light that you forget to carry out some needed servicing, maybe for a generator, it ends up breaking down as that when it's needed. So this would, at the end of the day, to be a costly service failure generally, because for facilities, electricity is important. So generally, it leads to end user frustration and increasing operational costs. So generally, the facility users, the clients are frustrated because they can't get power due to the fact that a maintenance was missed and the generator ends up breaking down, basically. And it also costs more to fix that problem that should have been fixed with a routine maintenance that was missed. So moving on, the second pain point is the inability to effectively track maintenance history and expenses as against the budget. So we also found out that it is very difficult for facilities managers to track the amount of money and the expenses, the amount of money they have spent on maintaining those facilities and assets as against the budgets they have for those facilities and assets. So therefore, this leads to difficulty in spotting budget overrun and expensive recurring problems. So it might be very difficult to know when you have spent above your budgets for maybe a particular facility or for a job category. So it could also be for a job category. You could budget for plumbing, for electrical works and the likes, and without adequate tracking, it will be difficult for you to know when you have almost spent more than that budget. Also, expensive recurring problems, that is a problem that you keep spending money on, but due to the fact that there is no adequate tracking, you can't figure out exactly what you are spending a lot of money on. You can't know if it's maybe one electrical problem that needs to be fixed, or maybe there is a particular AC that you need to change totally instead of spending money on it all the time. So this limits, generally, this limits the management's ability to control costs by taking proactive actions to identify and block those leakages, like throwing money in the bin. The thing is that when you can't identify a problem, then you can't find a solution to that problem. So without adequate tracking, and you can't pinpoint where you're just spending your money unnecessarily, there is no way for you to actually block that spending and find a solution to it. So basically, just like throwing money in the bin. The third problem is the fact that personnel can't readily assess work-related.
Where's your mommy? Where's your mommy? Amida, come on, take. Your mommy out.
Sorry, is that person trying to ask a question?
Please go on, Mikaya. I think it was one of the students who unmuted himself.
All right. So the third pain point, as I was saying, personnel can't readily access work-related information remotely, and they spend too much time on redundant manual tasks such as creating requisitions, excessive emailing, follow-ups, documentations, and reporting. So like I said earlier, facilities managers tend to do a lot, and using documents, spreadsheets, paper, and pen, they can't be carrying documents from one place to another. So if they are not in their office, they can't access some certain information. And they also spend a lot of time on creating requisitions, sending emails to various vendors, technicians, and the likes, trying to get approvals and all of that. Follow-ups, documentation, and also reporting can take a whole lot of time because those information are scattered in different spreadsheets, different documents, and the likes. So this leads to a high turnaround time and poor team communication, basically. So so there is no good communication among the team. Like some people have different information and the like. They spend a lot of time on redundant things, so it might be difficult for them to actually focus on other things that needs to be done quickly because they have a lot on their table. So basically, this leads to an unsatisfactory team performance and end user dissatisfaction. So, like I said, the fact that facilities managers tend to do a lot manually. Sometimes it's for the facility users, it might seem like the facilities managers are not doing enough. They don't attend to their issues as fast as possible. So they have this impression due to the fact that the facilities managers themselves have a lot on their table, and no matter how much they try, it will still seem to the end users as if they are not doing enough, basically. The fourth pain point or problem is the lack of centralized system for documenting, tracking, and reporting issues. So for facilities managers that are not that doing their processes manually, they could get requests from different ways, maybe through phone calls, emails, or even word of mouth. The facility user can just see the facility manager and tell them, okay, this is wrong. But using that system, a lot of things get missing, a lot of arguments comes up. Someone will say, oh, I informed you, and the person will say, no, you didn't inform me. So there's a lack of centralized system for all of these things, even documenting and tracking and reporting issues. So definitely this leads to data silos and difficulty in searching for information and generating reports. So data silos in the sense that there will be different data with different people within the same department. It's possible because there's no centralized way of doing this thing. So someone will have a different number, another person will have a different number within the same team. And generating reports would also take a lot of time, and searching for information would also not be easy. When you have to go through several sheets, you have to go through several documents to find what exactly you are looking for. So generally, this has the quality of management decisions, basically. So, so these are the problems, basically. These are the problems we discovered in the market. So I would like to know if anyone has a comment before I move on to the solution, which we have used, which is Instanta. So if there's any comments, please go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
Is spreadsheets part of the passing of information from one organization to the other?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
The spreadsheet that you are talking about, is it another means of passing information from one area to the other?
Well, a spreadsheet is how do I explain? Yeah, organizations can use it to pass information and store information, basically. So it's just like what's it called? Google Sheets, basically, or Microsoft Excel. Yeah, Excel.
Okay.
So that's what that's about.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, let me add to that. So the question you asked, if spreadsheet is used to pass information, yes, it is. It can be used, but it has so many functions. So you can use it to store data, just like the way you have your Excel sheets where you can input data into it, analyze it, and whoever's going to use that data will see everything you've done on that particular sheets. So it can be used for so many things, but most importantly, it is used to pass information. You know, you have a work and you want to make the other person see what you've done. So you have to enter those data into that sheet in a way where whoever is reviewing it, whoever is seeing it, understands the data you have there and can actually make sense of it, basically. Does that answer your question?
Thank you very much. Yes.
All right, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mumi. So, like I said, I will be going into the solution itself since I've talked about the problems, and the solution is instant app, which system solution builds basically. So, in this solution, we have modules and features of the software. It's a software basically. It's available on web and mobile. So you can have a mobile, you can use it on your phone or on your laptop basically. It's accessible remotely also. It doesn't matter where you are. You don't have to be in the office to access the solution. It doesn't matter where you are. As far as you have internet connection, you can make use of this solution basically. So we have the work management, and like this is the core part of the solution. It's where it all starts. So we have the work request. The work request is the work request. I hope you can see my screen because I've changed what I was sharing before.
Yes.
The brochure. Okay. So the work request, so it empowers the facility users to easily and quickly submit and track their work requests. So instead of calling, sending emails, or seeing you and telling you face to face and losing track of all those requests, it comes through this channel, which all your facilities users can easily use. There's also a mobile app for them to easily do that and track what is going on with the request. So you don't even have to be going back and forth and communicating. You can see what is going on the job basically. Then we have the SLA, the service level agreement. So with this, you can track the vendor's performance. Basically, you configure a time that you agreed with your vendor or your technician to fix something or to repair something. So the system tracks the compliance, and then to enable you to know your facility, your vendors that deliver on time, and the vendors that are late. We also have the work order. So facility managers can create a work order, track resolution time, the SLA, and also gain instant access to maintenance history of all your managed facilities, apartments, and assets. So with this, you can, instead of going through thousands of documents or spreadsheets, you can easily go in, even filter whatever you are looking for, and just gain instant access to the maintenance history, the history of all maintenance that has been done on maybe a particular facility, an apartment, or an asset. We also have the budget tracking. So with this, you can track your budget as against the expense. So you can budget per project, per location, or job category. So you can budget per location A or B, job category like electrical works, plumbing jobs, and the likes, and easily track the compliance. So you know how you are spending your budget as against the expenses. You know if you have enough money left, or you know if you have spent a lot of money, and you know particular thing. Maybe it's a facility that you are spending mostly on, or it's a particular job category that you are spending a lot of your money on, or something that is eating the money basically. So you can easily identify that and find a solution to that problem and know why that particular thing is costing you so much money compared to other items. We also have the feedback and rating. So this feedback and rating is from your facility users basically. Once they request for a job and the job gets done and completed, they are notified about this, and they are asked to rate how well they think the job was done. So they can give their feedback in terms of words, and also in terms of 1 to 5 stars. So if the job is not done to their satisfaction, then they will give less than 2 ratings. So the system also allows them to reopen the job if they were not satisfied about the job. So instead of them starting to request all over again, they can just reopen the job and manager can take care of the rest. We also have the preventive maintenance. So with this, you can schedule and link plan preventive maintenance to assets and configure service frequency. So you just you have all your assets that you need to be doing some routine services on. You configure all of them to the PPMs and also the service frequency. That is, how often do you want to be doing these routine services? It gets notified about these things as and when you want. So if you need to get notified maybe a week before or 2 days before, a day before, and then receive even continuous notification maybe every 4 hours from the if it's still a day before till the day it is still like continuous notification, just so you don't miss that routine services. And then it can even now be linked to a technician that also gets, like maybe you have someone that does this servicing. Maybe, for example, your generator, you have someone, a technician that is in charge of doing the servicing. You can also link the job to the technician, and the technician will also be getting these reminders so that they will know to come and fix it, and the job is due to be done basically. So moving on, we have the vendor management basically. So with this, you can manage your vendors and technicians basically. So you have the vendor database and the vendor register. So with this, you have an update and the information of all your vendors, their contacts, and keep track of all your vendors' work history, performance ratings, and payment history, basically. And then you can also evaluate their performances objectively. So we have 3 criteria on this solution to evaluate their performance. One is that the first one is the SLA compliance, which I mentioned earlier. Do they deliver jobs on time? Do they deliver late? Also, the client satisfaction rating. What sort of rating do they get after you have sent them to fix a particular job? Do they get good ratings? Do they get bad ratings? And lastly, do you have to call them back to come and work on something they worked previously? Number of jobs. Do you always have to call them back to come and work on do the same repair all the time? So with these 3 criteria, you can objectively evaluate your vendor's performance. Moving on, vendor payment requisition. So earlier I mentioned that facilities managers spend a lot of time on redundant manual tasks such as payment requisition. So with this solution, you can automatically initiate vendor payment requests to the account when the vendor work or job is approved and completed, basically. You can also generate on an online job completion certificates for the vendors also. Then we have the management. So with this, you can manage quotations, send requests for quotation to multiple vendors and technicians. Maybe you have like 2 or 3 electricians, you want to compare their prices, or you have 2 or 3 plumbers, you want to compare their prices. You can send a request for quotation to them, get the quotation, then select the preferred vendor who gets the job. Moving on, we have the asset and inventory management. So the asset register. So this is like a register of all the assets in different that be managed by the company or the facilities manager. So you have all the information, all the details about the asset. So with just a click of the button, everyone, it will be centralized. Anyone within the organization can know the number of assets you have, the model, the specifications, and the likes, basically. Also, assets maintenance. So this is an interface to plan and create maintenance schedules for your assets, and also get the maintenance history for those assets, the cost and the likes. Then asset depreciation. So with this, you can have a quick view of how the assets are performing, the depreciation of those assets, and also get some value or metrics such as the current value, salvage value, accumulated depreciation, and so on. We also have the inventory control. So with this, you can have an knowledge of what you have in store, the items that you have in store, control the level of those items, keep track of those items, how they are being used, the usage of those items, how they are being transferred, and so on. Then we have the reorder level. So with this, you can avoid running out of stock in the store. Maybe there are some items that are very valuable to the company that must not run out of the store. You always need to have at least one or two of those items in the store. So you can configure this and have a reorder level. Like once this item gets to a certain number, you want to be notified so that you can procure more of those items into the store, basically. So item transfer, you use this to track material and asset visuals, movements, and usage from anywhere and anytime, as the name implies. So this solution also covers for procurement, basically. So we have the purchase request. The way people can make purchases can also make purchase requests within the organization. Then you have the purchase order, which has the information about what's being ordered, the items that you need from your supplier, and also track the supplier's payment status and track everything that has to do with the procurement, basically. Then you also have your supplier register. So the same way we have the vendor register, you have the supplier register and details of people that supply items to you, basically. Then we have the request for quotation. So the same way it works for vendors, you can also send requests to your numerous suppliers, basically. You have more than one that can supply the same thing. You want to compare their prices, you can easily send this request for quotation to them. So good receipt notes, this is an interface to create good receipt notes from purchase order. You record the quantity received, confirm the supplier items, the specification, the condition before acceptance, and subsequent warehousing and shelving. So basically, you use this to record what was supplied, the number, the quantity, and everything. And once this has been updated, once the good receipt note has been completed and submitted, it automatically updates the assets and your inventory, basically. Moving on, we also have the space booking and visitors management. So space booking is basically for common areas. If you manage spaces like office spaces or event halls, basically that's places that people need to book to use. Some they might need to pay for, some maybe just within the organization and they don't need to pay for it. So either ways, this helps to it's just a simple interface where your clients can easily view the availability of a common area. Then they can submit their booking request for the available time slots. That is, if a particular slot has been booked already, that place will not be available for them to book a request. So it's basically avoid clashing and to simplify the open. Then invoicing and payment. So like I said, it could be a place that needs to be paid for or not. So if it's a common area that needs to be paid for, then you can create invoice for the booking request where applicable, send those to the clients, then track the payments for those booking, basically. Then you can also control the booking. You control the usage of the bookable facility, reject, comment on why you are rejecting the booking, and the likes. So I also mentioned the visitors management. So the visitors management, we have the visitors part. So this is created by the facility user. So this is how this whole visitors management thing works. The facility user, which is the person expecting a guest, or if it's an organization, maybe a staff that is expecting someone that has a meeting with them or something like that. So I'll just use a residential area as an example. So for the facility user, which is the house occupant that is expecting a visitor, they'll just go on the interface and create a visitor's pass for their guests. They will enter the guest's name, the guest's phone number, email address, the time the guest is coming, the date they're expecting the guests, and all those basic information, basically. So after they have submitted, this sends a code to the guests via SMS or email. So this code, on getting to the estate or to the residential area, the security, they can now present this code to the security, who then verifies the code, and once they do that, they see all the information and lets the person in. And once they have done this, the facility user, the occupants, would also get notified that your guest is around and is on his way. So that's basically how the visitors management works, basically. So it's just to it replaces visitors having to come to the estate, then the security, or they will ask them to call the person they are going to visit and write down their details on a book or pen. So another thing this helps to do is the fact that you can easily go into the system and search for the people that came in, when they came in, and the like. So it's electronic. So you have an online visitors log, basically, instead of a book or paper visitors log, basically. So we also have power and service charge. So facilities managers are sometimes also in charge of providing power, that's electricity, and they also charge for these services, basically. So basically, this also helps with that. So it helps with you being able to apportion the service charge and the power, the cost of the power to your clients, basically. So it will be based on the facility size, or by flat, or whatever metric you want to use in apportioning those expenses to the clients, basically. And then you can track the payments for those power and service charge. So you know the ones that are owing, the ones that even have outstanding, maybe money that they paid for last month, they have some remaining, and all of that. Then you can also send bulk invoice to all your clients through Instant. Instead of creating one invoice after the other, you can send it in bulk to your clients. And there's also online payments in which this application is integrated with an online payment platform. So with a link, your clients can easily make payments for their power and service charge. And you can easily track these payments. So lastly, we have the property lease management. So lease in terms of rents, or it covers rents, short leases, long leases, basically. So with this solution, you can also manage leases. So you can manage rents, even short-let apartments, and all of that. So you have a simple interface to create a new lease, view existing lease, details such as location, apartments, occupant, contact, email, phone number, lease start dates, end dates, the fee, the contract documents, status, renewal history, and more. So you can have all the information and all the details about your lease on the solution. Then you get renewal notification also. So If a lease is about to expire, you can also say that the system should remind a month to some weeks to its expiration. So if you need to do some processing before it gets expired, you can start doing all of that in due time. Then you can also track invoices and payments for your lease, basically. You can send invoices for those leases, track the payments, know who is owing, who has paid for their lease and the likes. Then remittance and payables. So you can also use this to record and track payments to landlords, solicitors, and third-party agencies. Then bulk notification. You can send bulk notification to your facility users and other stakeholders. So, for example, maybe you want to carry out an activity in a particular facility that will affect everyone in that facility, and you want to notify them before you do that. So with this, you can just send out that bulk information to your facility users. So, so basically, those are the features and the benefits of this solution. Basically, it helps to extend the asset lifespan. So this software enables you to effectively plan and implement the original equipment manufacturer recommended preventive maintenance schedule. So once you have configured this, you are not missing out on any of your planned preventive maintenance. So extend your assets lifespan, basically. Then you can also easily reduce costs. So by 5 to 15% in the first year and up to 10% by the third year. So you can save costs on reactive and downtime maintenances. So mostly you'll be doing preventive maintenance, which will cost less than reactive maintenance, basically. Then it's also reduced the frequency of asset breakdown. So once you have if you have fixed the problem before it actually comes up, reduce the number of times that the assets will be breaking down because you have seen the problem and fixed it earlier on, basically. Also save time spent on administrative functions. So as facility manager, you also be able to save a lot of time on emailing, generating reports, documentation, and so on. So basically, that's all. And my colleague Momin can just show us what the system looks like, basically. But before then, I would like to ask if anyone has any question.
You can take your screen. Okay, you can stop sharing.
Okay.
So how do I share my screen?
Rukayat, sorry, there's someone whose hand is up, and that's Twin Olawi. Please, can we attend?
Hello, good evening.
Okay.
Question. I'd like to find out the software, or is it a program? Can you select what and what you want, or you have to buy the whole package? And if that is the case, how much are we looking at?
Well, you can select which solution you want.
Okay.
You can select the part of the solution you want. And regarding the price depends on your use case, basically. It depends on what you are getting and the number of users you'll be having on the system. So that's how it works.
Okay. So is it possible to like have a kind of a proposal? I don't know if you drop your email address so we can contact you after the class.
Please confirm you can see my screen.
Hello?
Can you still hear me?
I had a problem with the connection, but I'm back on.
Okay. Yeah, I said yes. I will drop my email and I would
Okay.
also like to get yours too. So yes.
Okay.
So we can
All right.
have discussions about it.
Thank you.
Please confirm you can see my screen.
I can't see your screen, mommy.
You can't?
I can't.
Yeah, we can't.
Why can't I share my screen? Okay, hold on. Let me just share what I'm presenting.
Mr. Nuruddin at Dejimo, do you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. I have a question, ma'am.
All right.
My question goes thus. Under the visitors pass, in a situation where we have an institution, just like a general hospital, or who is going to be responsible for that gate pass?
In an hospital where you have an emergency case. So I believe in an hospital, this should the visitors management should not be used for patients or emergency cases. Basically, it should be used for the management staff or the admin staff that gets visitors that come for meetings, or even their vendors or technicians that come to fix something within the facility. But for patients, it's not a really good use case for patients, because most times patients just walk into an hospital. Sometimes they don't have an hospital. So the use case for if an hospital wants to use it should be for the admin staff and for their guests, or for vendors or technicians or any other person aside from the patients that visits those facilities. Did you get that, sir? Hello. Who asked the question?
Thank you for that.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Okay, my
Yes,
question.
yes, you can.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. I guess it's evening already. Good evening. So this is a web application.
You can't see your screen.
You can't see my screen?
Yes.
I thought someone just confirmed that you can see it.
Yeah, I can see.
Actually, see.
Yeah, I can see it. Can see it.
So I think you need to leave the meeting and jump back again. Probably it's your network. So let me go on now. So so like my colleague said, Instanta is a web and mobile application, a work management tool that allows you to track the maintenance of your various assets across various facilities. This could be in a work space environment or a facility. So basically what we have here, we have a dashboard that shows all the operations currently going on within this application. So this operations includes jobs that work requests has been raised, yet to be assigned, work requests that are new, work requests that require quotation, work orders that are new, open, started. They also have things around PPMs, that's your planned preventive maintenance for your assets, your various assets. Instead of you doing more corrective maintenance, you should be doing more preventive maintenance to prevent asset breakdown and underutilization of your assets. You also have things around your work orders by categories. So you want to see how many work orders you have in the system, the categories, and what is the percentage of that work order in the system. So you can see at a glance using data, the dashboard for this particular request. So as you can see, there are 8 electrical work on the system, and that takes about 53% of the entire work order. You also have things around computer and accessories, HVAC, carpentry, so different categories of work orders. You can see them by numbers and by percentages. You also have overdue work order by duration, as you can see, We have 1 to 7 days, 1 to 3 weeks, 3 weeks to 1 month, and the likes. And you can also see the number of work orders by number and the percentage as well. Going down, you also see SLA compliance. So how compliant are your vendors, your technicians? So you're giving them an SLA for them to carry out every job that is assigned to them. How often do they meet that SLA time, and how often do they close a work order outside the SLA time? So at a glance, you can see that information of every jobs that are closed within the SLA time and closed outside the SLA time. So you also have things like planned and unplanned work order by category, by planned and unplanned work order. So this simply means preventive and corrective. And you can see you have for each month what categories, what percentage you have for planned work order, what percentage you have for unplanned work order. And you can see for several months on the system. You also have things around costs, budget tracking, budget tracking for all your facility, for across your facility, a particular facility. Let's say the facility manager manages 1 or 2 facilities and wants to see, oh, how much, what have I expended in terms of costs in repairs, fixing issues, corrective maintenance, preventive, whatever issues that was raised in that facility, how much have I spent at a certain period, on a certain period of time, across 1 year, across 6 months. So with a glance, you can see how much you're spending, and what is your cost to the client, what is the cost for that work order, what's the profit margin. So this particular use case is different because this use case is basically for a facility manager who renders services to a client. So let's say you run a facility and all the jobs, all the work requests that comes into that facility, you manage it. You want to show how much it costs you create a budget for a particular month. I want to see how much am I spending as against a budget, how much am I able to reduce, what is my cost to the client, what is my own cost, and what is my profit margin at the end of the day. So with this, you can see that at a glance and say, okay, do you know what? I think for the month of November, my cost was this value and the cost to client was this value. So I'm able to save, I'm able to have a profit margin of this value. So you can see all that across several months. So let me just go straight to the model on the system. And like my colleague mentioned, the core model of this application is the work management. So what that simply means is every request that goes into the system, everything that you need to do starts from the work management. And under the work management, you have categories, you have sub-models. You have the work request, which every request goes through. You have the work order. So every request that is being sent by a facility user or a requester or someone that is using the services or using the services within a facility, he sends a request based on probably issues he must have seen or issues he wants the facility manager to attend to. That request goes through the work request. So let me just open that so you see what I'm saying. So a work request is just a request. There's no action on it. It's just to show that there's an issue and I want it resolved, or there's a complaint from someone and the person wants it resolved. So on the system, because like I said, there's a mobile version of this application. So the mobile version can be used on the phone, which means that whoever is requesting, maybe a user on the facility, can go to the mobile application and raise a request. So all he sees is just this page and in a simpler form as well. So he sees this page and he says, oh, I noticed that there's a broken wall in my facility or in my bedroom or maybe at the corridor or something, and I want to raise a request on that. And you don't expect these people to be knowledgeable, but yes, to raise a request because they have a complaint, so they want it fixed. So they go to the system, select what the issue is, because there'll be several categories of jobs that will be done on that facility or in a particular facility. So we as the provider of the solution, when a client wants to deploy this for his facility, we'll give you a template that will list out all the categories and subcategories of issues within that facility. So once we import that into the system, that is what each request that comes through the application, this is how it will come. This is how the user will be sending them. You know, let's say for example, the user sees maybe there's a plumbing issue somewhere within the facility, and this plumbing issue is within his own facility or maybe outside his facility, and he wants to raise a request. Like I said, this can be used by a workplace client or a facility. So now he sees the issue and he wants to raise a request. So he says, what's the issue? Oh, the category is plumbing. What is the subcategory? Maybe pipes, the pipes are broken, or bathroom drainage needs cleaning or something. So he selects that subcategory. Now he wants to even go far to say, okay, do you know what? I need to send a picture so that whoever is going to see this request and assign it needs to see what I'm actually talking about. So it goes to where he must have taken that picture on his phone, and he clicks on this add file. So this add file takes him directly to the storage where that picture is, and he clicks on it. Once he clicks on it, he can now add that into the system. So once that is done, if the person knows the problem type, he selects it. If he doesn't know it, he leaves it. Whoever this request is going to go to, maybe the facility manager or the supervisor, when he sees this request at the work request level, he then starts to do all the preparations for that job to be done. So I'm talking about the requester right now. So if he sees the problem, he selects it. If he knows it, he enters the description. Fundamentally, the person that is requesting for this job to be done, his name shows there because he's the one that logged in on the application. So his name shows there, his email address, his phone number. Then you can either select the facility that is requesting this service for, the location, and probably the asset if he knows the asset category. Let's say for an AC, you need to fix the compressor is bad or something, or a switch or a circuit in the AC is bad. You can pick that AC as the asset. So once it's done, you know that you can now click on done. So once you clicks on this done button, the request goes to the facility manager or the supervisor assigned to that facility to get every request or to receive every request that comes in from all the users in that facility. Mind you, a facility officer can also raise a request on behalf of a requester or a facility user. So talking about the work request, so the work request goes to the facility manager or supervisor. He sees it and he says, oh, do you know what? I need to check what this request is. I need to start work on it. So yeah, you have a work request, but that has turned to a work order because as you can see, there's a work order for this work request. Mind you, we are still on the work request page, right? This work order. So we're still on the work request page. So the facility manager sees the request and says, you know what, I need to update this thing and assign the right people or the technicians or request for quotation from vendors or get approval from my line managers or my line heads for me to carry out this particular work request. So he starts making preparation. So he goes to the system, edits it. Oh, what's the issue? He sees the issue, work request details, requester's name. He goes further and he says, okay, this work request, does it require a quotation? He will be the one to determine if the request requires a quotation or not, because he understands better what the issue is. So he's able to tell if there's a need for quotation or there's no need for quotation. So now he checks it and sees that, oh, there's a need for quotation. Let me request for quotation from the vendors we work with. So the system allows you to have multiple vendors that you can send requests to for any type of job, any category of job. Same thing with your technicians that you have internally. So if you see a problem and you want to say, oh, do I need to ask my internal technicians to work on it? Can they do it? If yes, there's no need of going outside to get a vendor to do it. But if my internal technicians cannot do that job, then I need to send the vendor RFQ to my vendors, to the vendors I work with. Those vendors, their details will be entered on the system. So whenever you need to need their services, you just go to the system and click create vendor RFQ here, as you can see here, then send the invite, the quotation for, you send a quotation to those various vendors you work with. It could be one vendor, could be two, could be three, could be multiple, it could be as many vendors as possible, depending on what the company requires for each vendor processes to go through. So moving forward, so he sends out an RFQ to vendors, and the description of that RFQ or that item, those items that needs to be bought and sent by a vendor is this. As you can see, you are requesting for a Panasonic, 1 piece quantity 1, and LG, 1 piece quantity 1. What else? Then once these vendors, once they have, let me scroll down. Can you scroll down? Okay. So these are the vendors that they send this RFQ to. We have the K Electronics, we have the Tasha Ventures, we have the Arcline Limited. It could be as many vendors as possible, depending on what you want. So now the vendors, they've sent their quotation. So when you send this vendor RFQ to your vendors, they get it in 2 ways. They either get it through SMS on their phones or through an email where there's a link for them to enter the vendor RFQ. So a typical example of that link that a vendor will see once the facility manager has requested for a vendor RFQ is this. Let me show you. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it. Yes, sir.
Okay, let me show you something. So you just see what that vendor RFQ looks like. Hold on, please.
Your screen
Yes.
is off now. You can't see your
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to show them something else.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, let me see. Okay. Hello, can you see my screen? Hello?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Okay. So when you send, when the facility manager sends a vendor RFQ to several vendors he wants to work with to send a quotation, they get it either via a mobile phone as a text message or on their email address. Just same way you're seeing this page here. As you can see, the quotation deadline that was given, which was 29th of 9, by this time. This simply means that I'm asking you vendors to send in your quotation on or before this time. If you don't send it, it means that whatever you send outside this time is not valid and I can't work with it. So once they get this, all they need to do as a vendor is to click on this link. When they click on this link, it takes them to a page that has an Excel sheet, the description of the item, the quantity of the item, then unit price and total price. All they need to do is just to enter the price, and that's it. Once they enter the price, they just click submit, and automatically the facility manager gets the quotation of the vendor on his own page. Let me leave this page so I can continue from where I was before. I can't share multiple screen. I don't know why. Let me leave this page. Okay. Okay. Confirm you can see my screen now. Confirm, please. Can you see my screen still?
You can see it, sir.
So once all the vendors they send in the quotation, the facility manager can now say, okay, you know what, I've gotten the quotation and the prices. I need to evaluate which vendor I'm going to be working with. Am I going to select the vendor based on the price he sent, or based on the credibility, or how fast that vendor has been supplying his or her items, or the genuinity of the product that the vendor always supply. And I don't care about the price right now. I need a product that is original. So those decisions are made behind closed doors. And once they finalize, you cannot come to the system and pick a preferred vendor that he wants to work with. As you can see, these are the vendors that were contacted. K Electronics, this was his price. You also have Tasham Ventures, who was his price, yeah. And you also have, okay, I think that's it. So in this case, Tasham Ventures was made the preferred vendor. That's why you're seeing this box here ticked. As you can see, it was ticked green. It means that this vendor was selected to supply those items as requested by the facility manager. That's the more reason why you have this box here, or this line item here, or this vendor here ticked as green. Can you see it green? It means that this person was made preferred vendor. So once you've done all your vendor RFQ, you are sure the person you want to work with, you can now go to the system and request for approval from your line heads. So you can have several levels of approvals. You can have 1 to 3, 1 to 10, depending on what the organization has put in place for any job or any category of job to be approved. People that need to approve such categories of jobs. Now you can have approval limits for each person. You can say, okay, do you know what, Mr. A's approval limit is 1 million, Mr. B's approval limit is 2 million. So if the job is within Mr. A's approval level, it means that if you are requesting for approval, you ask Mr. A to approve such jobs. As you can see, approvals were done and it was yes, it wasn't declined. And the duration for each person to approve is also stated on the duration card here. It means that if you want to check which person is actually delaying your approvals, you want to, track the person that, okay, you sent in a work request, or you need to carry out a job and it has been delayed for several hours. You want to know who is delaying my job. I want to know the person that's delaying my job. You can actually use this card to track who is delaying it and how fast was the person able to respond or approve, or how slow the person was. So this is where you do your approvals. You can also make comments on the job if you want to, follow up on a particular work order, a particular work request. Maybe you want to say, okay, do you know what was the status of this request? Mr. A, why delay my job? To make comments basically. You can use the comment card here to do all that. You also have, what do you have? Okay, so you also have a file attachment. So you can scroll down. Can I scroll this down? Okay, let me see. I think that's the last one here. So file attachment, if you want to attach any file as regards, maybe when you were sending the work request, you took a picture of what you want to send, and that picture shows as an evidence or shows as a confirmation that there is need for us to carry out a particular work request. Anything at all that you've taken a picture of, or you want to attach any file, that can be, this file attachment card here can be used for that. You also have the history card here, which is down here. I can't really see it from my screen here, but let me see if I can open that. I can't see this thing from here. Can you see this history card here? Can you see it down below? Can you see it here? This history card?
No.
So, okay, I can't click on it. I think because of, okay, let me see. It's not clicking. Oh, no, not this. Okay, so there's a history card down there. So that history card, what it does is it shows you the audit trail of every initiation of a request. So at the point of initiating the request, to approving it, to requesting for vendor RFQ, or requesting for internal vendors to work on a particular work order, the life cycle basically of that work order from the beginning to the end, that history is shown on the history card, which is down here. I can't bring that. I can't click on it. Okay, yes, it's showing now. Okay, can you see it now? Can you see it? So the initial, the submission of the work request, everything that you've done on the system, the initiation of work request, change of condition required, approvals required, anything done at all, this history card shows you everything. So a person can say, oh, I didn't carry out this action on this particular work request. It wasn't me, or I wasn't one that approved this. No, that information is shown here, and the user that made such changes on the system is also shown here. The action that was done and the details of that action that was done also shown here. So this basically covers everything that regards audit trail for a particular work request. It's life cycle from the beginning to the end. So that's work request also explained in work order terms. So basically, work request is just work request until you convert or until you change that work request from being a work request to a work order. There's no action performed on it. It's just work request. Nothing will be done. So the facility manager gets that request and takes the necessary steps to make sure that that job is worked on and also closed at a stipulated time, based on probably priority of the job. Do we need to fix the job ASAP? Is it priority? Is it just a normal request that doesn't need priority? That facility manager for that job and make sure that that job is completed at a given time. So that's work request and also work order. Also have things like pending PPM. So your pending PPM helps you to schedule planned preventive maintenances for all your assets. So like we all know, facilities will have assets that they are managing basically. Assets like generators, assets like ACs, assets like HVAC system, the likes like that. So you want to schedule maintenances or preventive maintenances for those assets at a given period. So most OEMs will tell you that for my equipment, once you buy my equipment, you need to be servicing every 6 months. Or for an AC, you need to be changing the air vents or doing normal general maintenance on the AC every 6 months, every 1 year. So those instructions given by the OEMs, that's the original equipment manufacturer, those planned maintenances that the OEM has stated that you must follow in order to completely or fully utilize those assets, you must set maintenances on them so that once it is time for maintenance to be carried out on that asset, the system reminds you, it prompts you that, okay, maintenance for the asset is getting close to the date, start making preparation for you to carry out, or for the vendor or technician you've assigned to carry out such maintenances, start making preparation for that to be done. So this actually helps to do that. You can have several PPMs set on the system across several facilities. So you can see for this facility, you have this PPM here, you also have this PPM here. For this facility, the admin building, you have several PPM on the system, and you see the dates were performed and the due dates and the asset type as well. For requisition, so this basically tells you that once a job is completed, you need to make payment for that job. Once you've carried the job through the work process level, the work order that has been assigned to technicians or vendors, that's been approved, that's been done, you now want to make payment to that vendor, you use the payment requisition to do that. So what this simply tells you is you want to send a payment note to finance to say, okay, you know what, vendor A has carried out this task. We need to make payment to vendor A. So this is what this particular card there, or this particular payment requisition is what's used to do that. So as you can see, details of the payment requisition, you have the PRO number, you have the date, you have the who to pay to admin. You have to pay to this admin, expected payment dates, retirement, no, withholding tax, no. Was this approved? Yes, it was approved. Do you have any remarks? No remarks yet. What's the status of the payment? Payment still pending. So what do you need to make payments for? This is what you need to make payment for. The job that was done or the cost of the item that was purchased. What do you need to make payment for? Is it for a service or is it for an item? So this basically tells you the work that was done, which is this amount, 5,000 naira, approved by this person, approved date, status closed. You also have the people that approved these payments that said, okay, you know, this payment needs to go through. Yes, we've confirmed that the job was done. Now we need to make payment to this person, get approval. These are the people that approved this work, this PRO, that's the payment position for that particular work order. So you can see something by this person, requested to pay by this person. So this person submitted it and is saying, this person, please make payments, give approval for this job. Nobody was copied in the approval process. Was it approved? Yes. Was it approved? Yes. The duration for that approval, the duration for each person to receive this email or to receive this notification and approve, it was 1 minute each. That's the duration. You also have other things like comments, full attachments. If payment for this particular PR was made, you would see it here under this payment card here. But no payment has been made yet. That's why it's not having anything. And that's also why you are seeing status payment pending. It means that no payment has been made yet. But yes, approval has been done and they're asking that finance should make payments to that vendor. So that's what the payment requisition card is used for. Same thing as the bulk requisition, to create multiple bulk requisition for different work orders or different jobs or different services and make payment for those jobs that are carried out by technicians or by vendor or whatever. You also have the assets and inventory. So this is another model on the application that helps you take care of things around your assets. How do you manage your assets? Do you have visibility of your assets across several locations, across several facilities? Yes, the system helps you to do all of that. You can enter those details of the asset and you can see at a glance where each asset is, the category of the asset, subcategory, what is the quantity, the location of that asset at that point in time, and what is the status of the asset? Is it in use? Is it in store? Is the asset faulty or disposed? You can see all of that at a glance. And you can also generate reports for this particular asset. So let's say, for example, now, I want to see all the assets I have across all locations on the system. I can just come to this place here and so, I need to generate a report. So I click on this button. I guess I'm too fast. So I click on this button here, which is export. So I click on it, it takes to this page. I can so, I want to get this report or this report I'm trying to generate in PDF, or I want to get this in Excel, or do I want an export summary of it? Is it for a facility? Is it for a store? So whatever my decision is based on this report, I can generate that. Once I've selected all of that, I can just click on export, and this downloads the report of this particular page or this information I'm trying to generate for all my assets. So that's that. You also have your inventory list. So your inventory list, you can see all the items, the consumables or spares that you have within your various stores, how they are being used, how they're being managed. Are they moved from? Are they what quantity you have in store? What quantity have you moved from one store to another? You can see that at a glance here. You can see there are several consumables, there are several inventory, several spares on the system, and you can also see the quantity of each of them, the location of where they are, if it's in store, if it's in use, you see all of that. You can also set your inventory that level. Let's say, for example, you have items or consumables that you use more frequent than the other, and because of the high demand of this particular consumable, you want to set that level for it to say, okay, whenever it gets to a particular quantity, the system should remind me to reorder for this particular consumable or this particular spare. So you can do that on the system and say, okay, to remind me after it gets to 50 or when it gets to 50, and the system reminds you. So if you look at an example of that, is this. As you can see, it has a level of 50. It means that when this item gets to 50, the system reminds you that this item has gone to 50 and you need to restock this item. You can also generate reports for this item. You can also generate reports for your inventory list if you want to have. If you want to generate report for a particular inventory or all the inventories you have on the system to know what items do I have on the system, what is the quantity. I want to do maybe a proper analysis on the system. You can use the export button, and you can also use the filter button to do all of that. I want to see all the type of categories, maybe accessory or consumable, you select any of them. What is the category here? You select to subcategory model. The location I want to get information from, I want to get location from my head office or my branch at Mapapa or at Abuja or something. You can select all of that, and when you're done, you just click on filter, come to the system here and export that information. You export that either in PDF or in Excel sheets, as you can see here. And you can also decide to get this report in export summary, like a summary of the report, basically. So moving forward, you also have your item movement. Your item movement helps you to move items from one store or one warehouse to another. Yes, you have a quantity at a particular store, and there's a request for that same item at a different store. So what do? You can use this item movement to move such item from point A or warehouse A to warehouse B. As you can see, there are several items that were moved within this application. This item was moved, transferred warehouse to warehouse. The previous quantity before was 95. Now I'm saying I want to transfer 5 quantities of what I have in this 95. So I'm transferring 5, and what would my current quantity is 90. Where am I transferring this item to? I'm transferring from this store, that's Ocean Warehouse, to this store, and the status of that transfer is showing it's still in transit. So once this item is transferred and it gets to its destination, you can come back to the system and say, oh, item has been received, or item is now in store, or item is now in use. It depends on what that item, it depends on what that item wants to be used for. Do you want to transfer it from one store to another in case that store needs that item, or you want to transfer it so that it can be used immediately at a different store or at a different location? So that can also be captured on the system using the item movement card. You also have the item request for items either from your store or from procurement. So let's say, for example, I want to create a new item request. Am I requesting from store or procurement? So from store means that I have it in store. So I'm requesting from this store to the other store. Now, mind you, once you are requesting from procurement, it means that you're asking procurement to go ahead and buy those items, to go ahead and contact various vendors or the vendors they work with and purchase that item and bring it to the store for use, or purchase it and that item needs to be used immediately. So you can do either from store or procurement. And whoever is requesting for that item is going to be shown here. So the reason why this name is showing admin, because the username I use in logging into this page is the super user, which is the admin user. So I can have several, I have visibility for all the roles. Like I'm not limited to a role at all. I have access to all the whole thing, the whole application. So you also have the required dates. Oh, I want this to be I'm requesting for this particular item, this particular date, the type of item. Is it for use? Is it for install? The partner may not really work for so many, it's a bit dicey. So because this application can be used by a workspace, it means that you can either have a facility, you can either have a department as part of the selection, or you can just take this out or ignore it. So the department simply tells you that, okay, where am I requesting for this item? Is it from which department? Is it from procurement department? Is it from IT department? Is it from finance department? Which department is requesting for this? And what is the status of that request I'm making? Submitted. So you also have the items card there, which shows you the item you requested for, approval was done. You see it here, comment. So let me just open a new item request that was done, or a completed one that was submitted. Yes, approved. Let me open this. Please, do you have any question to ask, please? Do you have any question as I go on? Am I too fast? Do you have any question?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, let me take it now. Go on, please.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. My question is, this app, can it be used by a facility manager on his own to improve on his job, or it has to be used by the whole organization?
So the application can be used by facility manager to improve his own job. So that depends on what, so it depends. So the facility manager, does he work alone? Is it his company is working for, or working for a company, for an entire company?
Working for a company.
Yes, so the way it is the company has requested for this kind of solution to be implemented, and several roles have been identified by the company. Okay, which models do we want to use in the system? We need the facility manager's role, we need the procurement role, we need the finance role, we also need someone that will manage probably power and service charge or lease management. So those roles must have been identified. So now, if the facility manager has a role in the system, it means that everything regarding facility management, receiving of requests, assigning requests, following up with those requests to know how far the technician or the vendors they've gone in terms of working on the request, making sure that the vendor RFP that was gotten is competitive, he has done his analysis, he has picked a vendor, is it okay, is it not, get gotten approval. He has visibility for all that processes within the system. Now, once he's done, he now wants to request for payment. He hands over to someone else, which could be the finance person within the organization. Like I said, all the roles must have been identified. So the facility manager knows his role, where he starts and where it ends. Most often than not, you don't expect a facility manager to be making payments directly to a vendor. It is the job of the finance person to make payments. But that request of that payment has to come from someone who must have carried out the whole process, from the request to the assigning to the approval to check if there was a vendor RFP needed or not. Do we need an internal technician to carry out this job? He must have done all that. And that's okay. You know what? I now need to make payment for this person or this vendor that has carried this job and he has done it. I need to make payment to that person. So he now sends a payment requisition to the finance person to make payment. So anybody can use the role, but it depends on, anybody can use the application, but it depends on the role assigned to you, either by organization or the role that will fit your processes in the application.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that answer my question?
Not really.
Okay,
But
go on.
what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to say is that this is an app that will be authorized by the organization himself. Then assign everybody, the facility, the account, the procurement, whatever, a role on it.
Yes.
But it's not a personal tools that the facility manager can use on his own that this will improve my job. That's my question.
Mumi, let me answer this. So to answer your question, this solution is for organizations basically.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
It can't work alone just for one facility manager.
Exactly.
Others are using something else to manage their process. It has to be adopted by the company as a general.
Thank you, Madam Rukayat. You've answered my question. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. Ajibade.
Okay. So any other questions I move on? Any question? Any? Okay, so I move on. So you also have the transfer. Okay, let me explain this item.
He raised his hand. He has a question.
Okay, I can't see his. Okay, Samuel, please go on. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, sir. Back to work order and then work requisition. So once a requisition is made, and then how is there a way we can track back if there's a similar work done in time past, and then just to check the frequency of occurrence of that particular problem or issue, and being able to track if effective maintenance is done as regards that.
Okay, yes. So
okay, so I didn't see that on the app.
It's actually there. Let me go back there. I think there's a place for that. It's not there. The source, no, not there. Procurement, work management. Okay, let me see acquisition. Yes, let me see. On this. So I don't think it's on this particular interface. So normally all the jobs that have been carried out for a particular asset at the asset level, let's say a job has been done for a particular asset, AC, all the jobs that must have been done that AC, be it replacement of or changing of the compressor, or maybe a bad switch or a bad circuit, the history of those jobs will fall under the work order for that asset. I'm trying to check where that is on the system, but I know it's there. Probably we've not moved it to this particular new interface, but I know it's there.
Okay, sir. We can move on, sir. Thank you.
Okay. I can get back to you on that maybe some other time, but yes, it's there. I know it's there. Okay, so moving on. Do you have another question to ask? Another question, please, before I move on. No question. Okay, item request. So like I said, this is an item request that has been approved. The details of the item request, the item itself that was requested for, bulbs in my store, so category bulbs, model, lumen, quantify. Was the item approved, and who approved it? Yes, it was approved. Who approved it? It was sent by this person, approved, requested to be approved by this person. Anybody copying that process? Nobody. Was it approved? Yes. Declined? No. The duration for it wasn't stated yet. We also have other things like comments and history, which are already explained. So transfer form. So your transfer form helps you to, it shows you how the items are being moved from one store to another. So you are transferring an item from this store to the store. Let me create a new one so you just see how it looks like, and also show you the one that has already been created on the system. So this is a new transfer form, the transfer card on this particular transfer form. So the type, am I transferring from store to store, or store to office, or office to store, or office to office? I can select anything, store to store. From which store? The store, this store here. Select the store, Ocean Warehouse store, transfer to which store? This store, and Paradise store, Paradise Warehouse. So once I'm done picking that option, I can now enter a remark if I needed to enter a remark. The status of that is submitted, approved. I can as well approve this, or I can just submit it. So me approving this means that I have the right, or I have the privilege to approve maybe any transfer of such from a particular store to another store. I can also submit this and request for approval from my line heads. So it depends. One that is selected, maybe submitted, then you can now enter the item that you need to transfer, which is what you have here. Request from, what was the item? You select it, subcategory, model, register item, enter quantity. Once you're done, you click on this button here, done. The item is transferred. So when it gets to the store, it receives it, and the quantity of that item increases if you have a previous quantity. If you don't have a previous quantity, the quantity of the item increases based on what you entered as the quantity to be transferred. That's that. You can also see items that are delivered. Let me open this. As you can see, this is details of the item, details of the transfer. Was it delivered? Yes, it was delivered. From which store to this store? As you can see it here. I'm trying to rush this. You also see the items that were moved. Item, air condition, the model, register item, quantity received is one. What else? The history as well. History of all the, from the section, the life cycle of the request, everything shows on the history card here. It was submitted, the date, by who, the time, and everything. Asset reference is just used to set reference on the system. When you want to create references such as categories, subcategories, you can use asset reference to do all that. Basically, this is just settings, so I won't go into details with this, but it's for setting categories and subcategories for all your assets, model, manufacturer, and likes. Procurement. So procurement, not procurement, you have subcategories. You have the RFQ, request of quotation, purchase order, good received notes, payment requisition, service and loss support. So let me just start with RFQ. So I'm sure most of us are already familiar with RFQ. So RFQ basically tells you, I'm trying to request for quotation from a vendor. Now I need to send out my RFQ to several vendors, and I want them to quote for this particular item or list of items that I want them to quote for. So you can use the RFQ to do that by clicking on this. I don't know why it's slow. Let me see. Let me refresh. It's a bit slow. Please hold on. Let me refresh my page. I need to open that page. Okay, procurement, RFQ. Let me see this. Okay. Please load, please load, please load. I think my network is a bit slow. I'm trying to load this page, but it's not loading. Okay, so let me give it a few minutes to load. If it doesn't, we'll move to purchase order. So basically what this RFQ does is you can use it to send RFQ to multiple vendors, get a quotation, and once you receive it, you can now assign, or you can now pick a vendor that you want to work with, and you send them a purchase order for them to supply that item. So since it's not loaded, let me just go straight to purchase order. Probably come back there when it's okay. Okay, so purchase order. So this, as you can see, you have the details of the purchase order, the purchase order number or the serial number for the purchase order, the date it was created, the facility that requested dates requested by this person. You also have that details like vendor that you worked with, that's which vendor, Blue Sky vendor. The expected delivery date for the vendor was 27/09/2022, ship, nail. You also have terms and conditions. So you're asking the vendor, okay, I want, these are my terms and conditions for this particular RFQ. Was it approved? Do I need to make 70% advance payment and 30% after I deliver, or am I going to match, or should I make the whole payment, T&C for this particular, purchase order? Status of the purchase order shows approved. It means that it has gone through the process and it has been approved by several individuals or a particular individual. What item was requested for? This is it. Description of the item, bulbs, subcategory bulbs, model VAC, quantity 20, unit price, total amount. This is the price. This is the price here. What have you again? Like I said, approval was done for this particular purchase order. As you can see, this approval was sent by this person and is requesting this person to approve. Was it approved? Yes. Was it declined? No. What else again? File attachment. Was there any file attached to this particular PO? No attachment. What is the history of this particular purchase order? You can see the history of the purchase order, everything that was done right from the inception till the very end date, which is past 5. That's 5 to 7 p.m. That was the last, last information that was entered into, last change that was made on this particular PO, and the person who made it, the action and details. You also have the goods received note, which is used to receive items after it must have been supplied or sent by a vendor. So a vendor sends item, how do you receive it? You receive the item to know if the item is in good state, if it's in good condition, if it's the right quantity, right description, the right color, to confirm the genuinity of what you requested and what was supplied. So a typical example of a JRN is this that was created, that has been created already on the system. You can also see the details of the purchase order, the vendor's name, Blue Sky, the PO number, this, location, requested at this store here, Cam store, receive dates, received by which person, this person, receive date, this date, receive time, this time. You also have that details approved or details approved, whatever. The processes that must have been carried out on the system. Was it approved? Yes. Was it declined? No. What is the status that has been received? It means that this item was received because, yes, it confirms with what was requested for and what was supplied. You also have the items that were received. What item did you receive? We received bulb, model, VAC, quantity 20, specification 40, serial number, checked by this person, K, rejected, no. You also have the approval that was done on it. Who sent for approval to be done? This person. Who approved it? This person. Was it approved? Yes. You also have the file and attachment and history. I think that's already self-explanatory. The next one is
moving.
Yes, okay.
Can you just summarize? We have just less than 15 minutes left to close this.
Okay. Payment requisition is used for making
questions.
Okay, so payment requisition is used for making payments. Like I explained, once you receive the item to the store, you want to request a payment, you can use this to send payment to finance, and finance makes payment for that particular item that was received. You also have the lease management, which is used to manage all the leases within the facility. You can see all the leases you have on the application, leases that have expired, leases that are still running, leases that are reserved for particular clients. Probably client has made payment, but it hasn't moved in, and that place has been reserved for the clients to occupy. So those information will be seen at a glance on the application. You can see the start date of the lease and the end date and the amount paid and all that. You also have the lease invoices that were sent to clients. What are the lease invoices sent to clients? What will they ask to make payments for? And maybe we ask to make payments for the rents and probably other service charges on it. You see those information under the lease invoices. As you can see for this is what was sent to the client to make payment for rent, 400K, agency fee, 49,595 naira. Yes, whatever, yes, and this is the amount that was paid by this particular lease occupant. We also have lease references for settings basically around leases. If you want to create settings around agencies, solicitors, fees type, you use this lease reference to create such settings on the system. So by the time you are creating a lease for an occupant. You can select either it's coming through an agency or a solicitor, and what is the fee type. You can select all that while creating a new list for an occupant. You also have the power and service charge. Power and service charge has both the power charge and the service charge. So the service charge basically all the work orders coming from a facility. How are those work orders being apportioned or being shared across each apartment? So those charges, how do these occupants make payments for these charges? Do you pay them every year, and you now show them how those charges have been expended, how they have been spent? You can use this power and service charge, or this service charge rather, to show such breakdowns. And if you want to do that, you can do that using the apportionment card, which shows you how you spend, how those expenses are coming from your work order, basically. Let me show you this so you can see you have the preventive maintenance, which is PPM for all sharing type, or you also have corrective maintenance for for the expenses coming from work order, corrective and preventive maintenances. You also have a summary that shows you, okay, for this particular facility, how was this cost shared amongst all of them? That will be shown here. For this, we don't have any because their previous balance is actually minus, and they haven't made payment. Total charge is 0, balance adjustment is 0, and their current balance is this, meaning that they're still owing. Payments were not made, and they need to make payments. That's for service charge. You can also use this to schedule payments, to schedule payments and send to the occupants to make payment for a particular period of time. You can use this schedule card to do that. And once they make payment, you can also use this payment card to enter those payments and also send them receipts for what you paid for. I will show you this. As you can see, details of this payment card is showing the facility name, service charge settings, service charge location, and receipt was not sent to the client, but the client made a payment of what? 700,000 naira that was paid. That was what the client made payment for. You also have the power charge, the same thing, payment was made. You need to send receipt to the client, or you need to have that information in the system that this client has made payment, and this is the payment that the client made, information about it or around it. Apportionment. You want to see how this service charge or this power charge is being apportioned across all facilities, across the facilities, across several occupants in that facility. So you can use the apportionment card to do that. Let me show you a simple. Okay, let me use this to explain. So this is the expenses coming from power charge. So power charge can either be PHCN or diesel, or solar, or what have you, or gas, whatever it is. So this is the expense coming from PHCN and diesel, and the amount is this and this. Total charges is this 307,000 naira. You also have the breakdown for this particular expense. So the common area breakdown shows that for common areas, this is what was charged, 111,000 for common areas. Common areas are places where everybody uses. Common areas could be car park. Common areas could be maybe a sitting ground for everybody that uses that particular place in that facility. So how do you share the charge among that common area? Usually it's usually 30% of the power charge. So 30% of this, of 370K, will give you this 111,000 naira, 30%. So it depends on what the facility or the facility manager must have apportioned for common areas. Could be 40%, could be 50, could be even less than 30, depends. So the apartment breakdown. So for common areas, apartment breakdown for the consumption from all facilities, how was this? What did they consume? What did each flat consume, and what was the amount that was consumed? What is the breakdown for common areas for each apartment? So for each apartment, if you divide this by the number of apartments you have here, which is 7, you have approximately 15,878 naira. So each person for common area is paying this. Based on what was consumed by each person, this amount is what this person is paying. For this consumption, the amount person is paying, and for this consumption for power, this is the amount person is paying. So that gives you that summary of what should be paid for apartment breakdown for all the facilities listed here, all the apartments listed here. You also have the summary. So the summary shows you for all the breakdowns you've shown here, what was added. Did we add management fee? Was it vatable? Normally, once you've gotten your apartment breakdown, you now need to add your management fee, which is 10%, and probably your VAT, which would be 7.5% or 5%, whatever the case may be. But that is being added on this apartment. I now have your previous balance with this, total charge is this. That means they need to make this payment, and the product balance for total charge gives you this plus management fee plus VAT. That's what we have there for all the apartments. History tells you what was done on the system, everything around, creation of the first request to the last request, everything done on the system. Audit trail, basically, the history takes care of that. So basically, that's that for power and service charge, and I believe that all for this presentation. If you have any questions, please ask. Okay, before we go, we also have the visitors management basically. So this helps you to take care of visitors entering your facility and also exiting your facility. So I believe my colleague already mentioned this and explained this as well. So once you're about entering the facility, whoever is hosting you, that's the host that's receiving to that facility, sends you creates a visitor's pass for you, and the link for that pass is being sent to you via text, having the barcode or QR code. So once you get to the gate, you present that, and the security at the gate allows you to have access into the facility. By the time you are leaving that facility, you can also say, you know what, I want to notify when this person is leaving the facility. So once you're about exiting that premise, the entry and exit can be entered to notify the host that received the initial that, oh, this person is leaving the facility, kindly grant him or her access. So once that is entered on the system at the security, a link gets back to you and says, you know what, authorize this person to leave this facility. This could be optional, but this allows you to check what time the person came in and what time the person is leaving. So once that link is sent to you that this person is about leaving the facility, once you click on it, you authorize the person clearly has access or is given access to leave that particular facility to that particular premise. Basically, that's how this visitors management work. If you have any question right now, please ask. I believe I'm done. Questions, please. Do you have any question, please? Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening,
everyone. Yes, my question is this. The database, could it be the vendor's data? Do you understand? My question is it going to use the vendor's list as database for the operations of the software?
So what do you mean by data? So let me understand you clearly. Are you saying that to implement this application, do we need to get certain data from the vendor to implement it? Is that what you're asking?
No, okay, yeah. No, my question is this. For certain softwares like this that make use of people put information in. Now you have the list of vendors. Is it going to be? Would it be the basis of its operation? Or like if you want to make use of it, it picks information from the database vendors list as operating information for it.
Yes. So I think I understand you maybe a little bit. So let's say you want to let's look at the procurement process right now. You want to send out an RFQ to vendors, right? Now,
Yes.
how are you going to do that? Will the vendor management come from the application itself?
Okay.
Will you enter those data into the system so that you can go back there and say, you know what, I want to pick maybe Mr. K and Ventures. You pick from the system. I want to pick maybe Olasco Limited. You pick from the system. These vendors will already be, entered into the system. A template will be sent, quite all right. That template will contain all the vendors that the maybe your organization wants to work with in terms of vendor RFQ. So once you send that template and populate it, it means that whenever you have a request that requires a vendor to come and carry out a service within your facility, those names will be names to be entered for that particular job or that particular work order.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Do you understand?
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, I do now.
Okay. Any question, please? Questions, please.
Thank you very much, Rukayat and Abdulmumin, for this excellent presentation. This session has actually helped us understand better the application of FM technology and more importantly about the instantaneous software. Thank you so much. If there's another question, I can get them from the students and pass across to you for more clarification. At this point, I would like to call it a day. Thank you so much for this excellent session.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma. Blissful night. Good night.
Thank you very much and good night.
You're welcome.
Thank you, ma. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.